Hi everyone, welcome to a special episode of my Cedar Point Recreation Park. You may recall a few episodes ago, back in episode 24, we did a little tour of the park just to help give a better overview of how things are laid out, how things are looking from a more macro level, what our progress is looking like, etc. And it's been a little bit of time, we've gotten a lot more work done since then, so I figured I would do another little stroll through the park here and kind of show off where we've come since then. Like last time, let's start off here at the front of the park. We still have some progress to make here on the front plaza area. I haven't touched this in a long time still. That is probably going to come in next phase when we start doing some outside the park stuff. But moving a little bit inside the park, we have our main midway here. We've been building a lot of guest-facing buildings over here. So we've got some facades built up for that. We have our main midway and our arcades. Not a ton has changed over here over time. I've been spending a little bit of time lately making some tiny little tweaks, playing around with some different things. For example, this section here on the midway used to be some fountains. Now it's got some different decorations in here. I think they got rid of the fountains entirely and replaced it with just some differently colored tarmac path here. So I'm not really sure how I want to do this area yet, but again, another little tweak that we'll make eventually. We got lots of little buildings up here. Still quite a few more to go, especially here near the front by the carousel. There's a good chunk of buildings here left to do. Coming over here by Lakeside Midway, we've got our Kitty Kingdom area, Gatekeeper, the last few rides that are over here. We've got Wicked Twisters still churning away, as they still haven't announced what's going to go in this area. But I do need to do some cleanup over here where the stadium used to be. Planet Snoopy over here. In front of a couple more buildings, I do have to redo Snoopy Boutique. They remodeled it just a couple of years ago. I have some photos of what it looks like now, but unfortunately gonna have to get rid of my little Snoopy doghouse sculpture, which is kind of sad because I thought it looked pretty cool. That's how it goes though. So if we continue down past Valraven, still a lot of work to do over here on the Millennium Midway. I do have a ton of photos of this area, so I know what it needs to look like. Just haven't had the opportunity to go through here and make those changes. Been busy with other parts of the park. Up here, of course, we've got Rougarou and Millennium Force. We've been having some real issues lately with the guest pathing over here. For some reason, all these guests are trying to get to Millennium Force and then get lost in the path. So I've been trying to delete the path to make it less confusing, but for some reason, they're still having issues. So I need to figure out what's going on over here. We'll get that ironed out eventually. Coming down this way, the Frontier Trail, still pretty bare. Need to add some of the buildings in here, foliage, etc. Although, as you saw last episode, we do have the Forbidden Frontier Island looking nice and populated. And Frontier Town in general is also starting to look pretty nice. Aside from a few large restaurant-type buildings, we've got all the rides, and the new farmhouse building is looking pretty good. Back here in the back corner is where things are probably in most need of updating. As you can see, there's nothing here but path right now. A lot of weird buildings in here, decoration, and restaurants and things. Sylventions here back at the back, and then coming around down to the Gemini Midway, where we've got Camp Snoopy, a couple more flat rides, Magnum, Top Thrill, and everything. As you can see, a lot of landscaping has been done, but there's still, of course, quite a lot left to do, as I keep saying. And that will take us back to the main Midway, where we have our Skyride building. But if we zoom out here a bit, you can see there's still a lot of outside the park stuff left to do. We've got the hotel and some employee buildings and maintenance stuff here at the back of the park to do. You might notice the weird fences over here. I did add in all of the other park entrances. So we've got the Magnum entrance and the Windseeker entrance and the Valraven entrance are all functional, just so that guests have an easier time leaving the park. I was hoping that would help with some complaints we were having with guests can't find the park exit kind of thing. Helped a little bit, but it's still an enormous park with lots of weird path finding, and it's a challenge to get peeps going where they need to go. But I think that kind of covers everything as far as the macro overall level. We are getting pretty close to the end of phase 5 where we are doing all of our in the park buildings. There's like I mentioned, there's a couple large sections that we need to hammer out, like Frontier Town and the Millennium Midway. But other than that, there's just a handful of buildings left to do. Things are looking pretty complete, especially up front by the main Midway area. And by complete, I mean we have our first draft buildings down. Obviously I'm going to be spending a lot of time updating things, doing some tweaking, adding some detail. Like we have Blue Streak Plaza over here where everything is technically complete, but there is a lot of just empty space that could use some little bits and bobs, just some extra decoration here to make things look a little bit more interesting. I've already done quite a bit of that off camera, and I'm going to be doing more of that in the future, just as part of the normal build process. Just as an example, I've started working on some custom supports for Iron Dragon, because the in-game supports are pretty small, but you can get some nice big looking ones with observation tower and monorail track. But that's very tedious to build all that, and I'm not complete, obviously, and there's some more tweaking that needs to go on here to make these a little bit cleaner looking. But I won't be doing that on camera because it's not very exciting stuff. But that's the sort of thing that I'll be working on off camera as well. But I think just a couple more episodes will get us to the end of Phase 5, and then we can start fleshing out the outside of the park. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And as always, I'm just happy with the progress that I've been making so far. As I mentioned way back earlier on, I was kind of afraid that I would either drop the project or get burned out. But fortunately that hasn't happened yet. I think breaking it up like this and keeping things interesting has helped me to make some good progress and keep up the flow. But anyway, I think that's going to cover it for today. Just like I said, a quick little overview of how things are going, what the park looks like right now. And I guess that's about all I have to say, so thanks for watching.